Hello everybody, welcome back to Tom Reads Things. My name is Tom. I hope you're all very well on this wet and windy and grey weekend. Today I'm going to be talking you through my September wrap-up. So I only read 2 books in September. I know, amazing. I only read 2 books in September, but when I talk you through the second book, you will realise why I only read 2 books in September, because it's pretty huge. So let's crack on, shall we? The first book that I read in September is the winner of the International Booker Prize, and that is The Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Lucas Reineveld. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. So this has been getting a lot of attention recently, obviously winning the International Booker Prize. I'd seen a lot of people talk about it on BookTube. Well, no, I hadn't actually seen a lot of people talk about it on BookTube. I'd seen some people talk about it on Instagram, and then I started researching it a bit on BookTube to see what other people had thought, but I didn't want to know too much. So I decided to pick this up because it sounded really dark. It sounded really, quite upsetting parts of it. And it just seemed like a really interesting read. And I thought, this has won the International Booker Prize. This must be good. And I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this. Well, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I know a lot of people really rate this book. I, however, do not. I did this as a buddy read with Simon from Savage Reads. That's not the reason why I didn't rate it. So this book follows a family who work on and own a dairy farm. And it very early on in the book, this isn't a spoiler because it happens really early on. Very early on in the book, one of the children dies in a tragic accident, one of the brothers. He falls under some ice and drowns. And the story kind of goes through the family's reactions to this event and how they all deal with it, and the different ways in which they cope or don't cope, as it may be. So on paper, that sounds like a fantastic novel, and it really should have been. However, I feel, and I know other people don't feel this way, and that's absolutely fine, but in my personal opinion, I felt like this author, I just got the feeling that they started off writing this book wanting to shock people, and they didn't really know much more beyond that what they wanted to do. And therefore you just end up with a bunch of events that happen that are shocking and disturbing without much of a backbone running through this novel to hold it all together. And I think that the novelist uses the death of this son to try and string these events together in some way, but really you don't get any context or reasons for why these shocking things are happening. I won't tell you what the shocking things are because that's part of the experience of reading the book, but you don't really get much of a reason for why these shocking things are happening other than the son's died. But that doesn't really feel like enough for me. And it actually really annoyed me because I thought you could do so much with this. You really could do so much with this, but instead you've used this one thing to try and string all of these shocking events together, and then you've tried to be as shocking as you can, describing all of these different events in this family. But why? I didn't understand why, and it didn't have the effect on me that I thought it was going to have. I thought it was going to be a kick in the guts. I thought this was going to tear my heart out, throw it on the floor and beat the crap out of it, but it just didn't at all. And the ending was just a complete nothing. Well, it's not a complete nothing because something happens, but I just thought, right, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm just cold and heartless. Ooh, I sound like Jane Eyre there, don't I? Do you think I am cold and heartless? No, I can't remember what the line is. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. This just did not do it for me. And it actually just made me a bit angry. But I do know that a lot of people really rate this book. And I also felt that, and this is a bit of a bugbear for me in books, I don't really like it when authors give you hints of things, and then they say, well, you know, it's up to you to make up your mind what's really going on behind the scenes, or, you know, it's up to you to make up your mind about what's really happening here. I just think, no, you tell. I've bought this book, you tell me. I haven't bought it so that I can write it in my head. I want you to tell me what the context is behind this, and what the depth of these situations are. I don't want to have to make it up myself. That's the whole point of reading a book for me, and I know other people love that in books, and that's fine as well. But yeah, for me, it was just a bit weird. Although, saying that, I do really like it when Ianka Braithwaite does that in My Sister the Serial Killer. She does it perfectly, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm just very contrarian, don't really know what I like. So yes, let me know if you've read this book. Let me know your thoughts on it, because I do understand that some people think that this is a great book, and that's fine. Obviously, it's all subjective anyway. But yeah, I'm just really interested to hear other people's thoughts on this. So yeah, The Discomfort of Evening. Let me know what you thought of it if you've read it. Now then, my second book has a bit of a story to it. So recently, Mark and I went to Shropshire for a little bit of a getaway, and whilst we were there, I went to a bookshop which was recommended to me by Philippa from Quick Book Reviews, and she said, go into this bookshop, it's great. So I did, and I was actually looking for The Discomfort of Evening, the book I've just spoken about, and I said to the lady in the bookshop, I said, do you have The Discomfort of Evening? And she said, no, I don't. But she said, is that the one that's just won the International Booker? And I said, yes. She said, oh, there's a lot of talk about that. And I said, yeah, there is. Have you got it? She was like, no, I haven't. I've just told you that. I was like, fine. Anyway, she said, oh, that's not the one that should have won the International Booker, of course. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, bear with me, I'll go and get it for you. And she came back, and my heart, I must admit, sank a little bit when I saw this beast of a novel. This is The Eighth Life by Nina Harachvili. It is huge. It's the longest book that I have read for a very, very long time. She pulled this out, and she was like, I sort of said, oh, I'm not really looking for something so big. And she was like, trust me, just trust me. So I said, do you know what? Okay, fine, I'll get it. And I am so pleased that I did. This one, I haven't read any of the other nominees, but I think this 100%, I don't even know if this was actually nominated, but this should have won the International Booker. Hands down, in my opinion. It is an epic tale, and I just absolutely fell in love with it, and I cannot wait to read more by this author. So, The Eighth Life. It is almost 1,000 pages long, and it's pretty small text as well. However, it does not feel that long at all. I started reading this and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to read, I'm going to say I'm going to read 100 pages a month, because I knew I didn't want to, I get a bit weird when I have to sit and read one long book for any length of time. But so I said, okay, I'm going to read 10 pages a month, and I'm going to go do it over 9 or 10 months. 100 pages a month, do it over 9 or 10 months. I started reading, before I knew it, I was over 300 pages through, and I was like, I am not stopping reading this. I'm reading this through to the end. It is fantastic. So without further ado, I'll actually tell you a bit about what it's about. This novel spans the whole of the 20th century, basically. It starts in Georgia at the turn of the 20th century in 1900, and it tells the story of one family. Well, it tells the story of the whole of Europe through the eyes of one family, one Georgian family. And each chapter is a different life. And it starts with Stasia in Georgia at the turn of the century, and it ends with Brilka in modern day Europe. And oh, my God, I just don't even know where to start with this. It's very rare. So basically, you go through all of the events of the 20th century in Europe. You go through, the revolution in Russia. You go through the world wars. You go through the fall of the Soviet Union. You go through, loads of different, the 60s in London, all through the eyes of different members of this family, and it is in turn epic and personal all at the same time. It's very rare that you find a novel that has such brilliant plot and storytelling and fantastic twists and turns and fantastic, a plot that you're really, really invested in, whilst also having the time and capacity and space to develop these fully rounded, flawed, brilliant, completely real characters. And that is why it's 1,000 pages long, because you get everything in this novel. It is exquisite. And if someone was to tell me on paper, right, you're going to really enjoy a book that is almost 1,000 pages long. There's quite a few chapters about war in here, and it's about 20th century. I'd be like, nah, mate, sorry, I'm not having that. But it absolutely captivated me. I adore all of these characters because they're so flawed and they're so real and they're so perfectly, vividly brought to life in this book. And what I really like about this book in comparison to The Discomfort of Evening is there are some really shocking events that happen in this book. There are some gut-wrenching, heart-destroying events that happen in this book to members of this family, and I completely believed it, and I completely understood the context. I completely got why the author put those events in this novel, because they needed to be in there. There was a reason for them to be in there, and by them being in there, it just my brain exploded. I cannot talk highly enough of this book. It is it's just brilliant. Even if you are not interested in 20th century European history, even if you are, not interested in, I don't know, epic tales that span a whole century, just because I wasn't before I picked this up, just please pick it up or go or find a way to read the first couple of paragraphs or first couple of chapters. You will be hooked, and it will be well worth your time. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favourite books of the year so far. I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you've got any questions about this, or if you've read this, please talk to me in the comment section down below. I want to talk to as many people as I can about this book. It is fantastic. So yeah, That Eighth Life by Nino Harachvili. So there you have it. That's my September wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you've been reading in September, or what you read in September. And if you have a channel and you've got any September wrap-ups, please link them in the comments down below and I will go and have a watch. Yeah, let's have a chat in the comments. Okay, I will be back soon for another video. Thanks very much. Bye.